I'm absolutely stuck on this. I can barely name a YouTuber that didn't have like great financial success that didn't buy real estate for a little while before they back out and realize they don't like it. Have you bought your real estate yet? Have you made that financial mistake? You going to get into commercial real estate?
Commercial? Fuck that.
I don't know.
Man.
I'm just saying something. You're renting places out. You're going to buy a gas station like Quibblecop?
Oh my God. Oh, I don't know how he did that. I don't even know the process. There's like, everyone seems to be doing it, and it's very hush hush because no one wants to be known as a landlord. It's like, that's a bad label to have. But I'm moving from here. I've been working on a house for a while. I'm renovating it currently, and it's actually moving along finally. So when I move from there, I get to make the choice of either sell this place, depending on how well I'm doing in like 5-6 months, or rent it if I'm doing good enough to just maintain having 2 houses. So I can be like scumbag landlord. It'd be great.
You'll be a great landlord.
Landlords are not inherently bad.
I will be.
Can I I've thought a lot about this landlord thing.
Okay.
And when's the last time you had a landlord, Woody?
1998 or something like that.
So that's going to shift your thoughts on this, I think.
I've
had issues with mine. It's this big corporation, and that's worse than a person. I'd sue a person.
I like the inverse, but I'm listening.
If there was some guy across town who was doing this shit to me and ignoring my requests, I'd sue him. We'd be in small claims court, then we'd be in civil court. I'd fuck him up. I'd make his life annoying. But it's this big corporation. So when you're like, hey, the water leak in my yard, I still have water, but just so you know, I won't be paying for any of the water that leaks out of this house, and the yard is going to be ruined. They allowed that to happen for almost 8 months. There was a crater in my yard, a koi pond essentially that looked like a bomb had fallen there and filled up with water for 8 months. It didn't smell, thank God, but it was just an eyesore. They didn't care because that much water leaking wasn't a big deal to them because they're a giant corporation, and the process of getting your claims escalated. There's no one who actually cares. It's all hourly paid employees. It's a nightmare. And then when my fucking AC went out a few years ago, again, huge nightmare. I was like, it's 80 degrees in the house, and they're like 88's an emergency. And I was like, oh, you know what?
Take it back.
I hung up on that guy and called back and told him it was 88.
So
and if they'd asked for a picture, I had the blow dryer ready.
I have 2 experiences. One, I rented this in an apartment complex. It was a big company like yours. I don't even know how many super big. And behind the washing machine, for clothes, it started to leak, like the hose went bad or something. And my apartment didn't have a ton of damage, but the apartment under mine, tremendous, right? The light fixtures were like buckets just holding water. The floors were ruined. The carpets needed to be replaced. Their personal belongings were damaged. It was just a stream of water that caused all this trouble while neither of us were home. So I returned to a slightly wet laundry area, and he returned to a ruined apartment. Cool. The people that needed to fix it weren't mad at me. They're hourly employees. They just do this every day. There was nothing personal about it. There were no problems. From my perspective, they replaced the hose. They toweled up the thing, and that was it. Like, it ended. I didn't have any problems. They didn't try to get my security deposit back or any of that nonsense. They're a giant company who didn't care. On the other hand, I rented a house from a dude. That dude lost his job. The house had a hole in the roof such that you could stick your arm to your shoulder outside that hole in the roof. You could see outside through the hole in the roof, and the water would come through this hole. It would drip down the walls, and it would soak Jackie and I's pillows like they were sponges. And we wake up in the morning with these pillows that weighed like 27 pounds.
That's insane.
And it was awful. And there was something wrong with the water, and it was well water, and there was a pump, and the pump pumped so slowly, like to fill the washer tub for clothing, 7 hours. Like, it was outrageously slow. When I showered, I'd make a cup with my hand and fill it from the shower head, then splash it on my hair.
It's the well. They've got a bad well.
This guy is giving me all of his sob story. I'm like, hey, I got these problems that need to be fixed. And he's like, I got problems too. I lost my job. He could have knocked me over with a feather when I learned I lost my job. So we wouldn't be doing any repairs to the rental place, but I need you to float my family and continue to pay your rent on time.
His insurance should be handling this.
Yeah.
they were making some assumptions about the fact, the idea that him being insured, he just didn't have money to cover any of the repairs because he was just a dude who didn't have the cash to actually be a landlord. And it was a terrible experience for us because of it.
I can't imagine. That sounds super shitty. The real problem is you need somebody you can go get and do what's right. And it's hard to get that done in either scenario, I suppose, at times. But I still think the real thing, but when I see people on Reddit hating landlords, it's almost like they don't like the system. They don't like the way the scales have ended up for whatever reason. They're like, can you believe it? They just sit there and take my money. I'm the one working. I support a landlord. That's what I'm doing. And it's like, no. I mean, it's real frustrating to see.
If Taylor gets a wild hair and says, you know what? I need a third job. I'm really not busy enough. And he decides to save up his cash for this big down payment and find the right place and then, fix it up before the tenants come in, and I probably do some level of repairs between every tenant. Then he's done all the stuff that the renters didn't have to do. They were able to just waltz into the house that Taylor saved up for, that Taylor makes payments for, to do it. Like, these landlords aren't evil. That's just the way it works. If you don't want to be a renter, do what Taylor did.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're right that it's just like when I see the like anti-work style people doing it, it's like, oh, this is a child who doesn't know how the world works. Like, they heard someone else say landlords are bad and now they're parroting that. Like, there's a chasm of difference between like the list of like the 20 worst landlords in New York City, where like they're like, I haven't had water in months, and they're like, fuck you, like, I'll send you to jail. Like, there's a difference between that and like a property man. Like, I have a buddy who's like a property manager. He's one of those guys who was like, I'm gonna buy real estate in like addition to my job, and within 1 year he was like, oh yeah, I had to quit my job, like, and learn how to be a handyman because I spend all day doing handyman stuff at all these properties. Like, I thought it was going to be a little passive income, but it turns out it's not. If you're a billionaire, it's passive income because you have 1,000 layers of middle management between you and the labor. If you're a dude who's a property manager who has a couple properties, you're working on that shit all the time. You don't have the capital to be like, oh, there was another boiler issue. Cost is no issue. Send someone else out there and spend $1 million. Like, no, you're going to be in there trying to figure it out, like doing what you can.
If you have a dozen 3-bedroom homes, that's a lot of toilets. That's a lot of light bulbs. That's so many furnaces and air conditioners and doorknobs and locks and latches and ovens and microwaves. I know slightly what that's like. Dad's farm, those poultry houses, there's thousands of light bulbs. There's thousands of gears and knobs because each chicken gets one, right? So there's thousands of everything in duplicate. And the biggest part of his job has always been maintenance man, just walking around. Oh, look at that. If I don't tighten that, everything will burn down. Good thing I was here. Every day is that. Every day is catching something that was 3 days away from disaster.
Have you heard of like Love for Landlords subreddit?
No, I've never heard of it. Is it a joke?
This.
I'm actually the head mod.
It's a whole subreddit. They've got their own little terminology in there. Like, the landlords are known as land chads. They make memes about like fucking me when I increase the rent on a single mother of 4.
I didn't know this was my position.
When you're a renter, who replaces the light bulbs?
I replace my own.
You could demand that they come fix your light bulbs, I guess, but like, I've always just changed my own.
Okay. I hope this doesn't get anyone fussed at, but when Chiz stayed in our guest house, by the way, he didn't pay rent or anything. He just worked with me and stuff. But when he moved out, to my surprise, all the light bulbs were burnt out. This was a time in our like evolution where like most people had compact fluorescent bulbs, but when they burnt out, you replace them with LEDs. Like, that's the stage we were in. And all these compact fluorescent bulbs had burnt out. And he was like, well, I was just sort of staying here. I'm not going to replace your light bulbs. And I was like, I I'd never heard of that, but okay. Like I'm so we had like 8 bulbs to replace.
I'm on his side.
He just slowly acclimated to a darker, darker place.
And I noticed he was always in the dark over there, but I didn't like I didn't ever know.
He's got candles. He's walking around like Rip Van Winkle with one of those finger holder candles.
He would visit us. He would come over and he'd play Risk with like Jackie and Colin and stuff, board games. But I didn't like knock on his door and intrude in his privacy.
Torch and a big old medieval torch.
I think he just stole your fucking light bulbs, man. He could have just
he was
saving them up.
And I'm not replacing your copper piping either. Don't even start. Like,
the wiring in the walls was gone when I got that.
I'm on Chiz's side on this because what you've done here is you've changed the topic. We were talking about landlords and tenants. If Chiz had been paying you a rate, then yeah, man, you're responsible for everything in there. You don't break anything either, because like you're. But he was a guest.
Okay.
He was a guest. If Taylor comes and stays with me for whatever reason, you know, maybe if Taylor and I said, hey, you know what? Let's do the Macho Men YouTube channel. You come stay with me for a month and we'll film working out here. I'll come stay with you for a month. We'll film there. And we made the Macho Men YouTube channel where we just do voices and we're not all that big.
Yeah. That's a good ass channel. Take this part out, Zach.
And then you know, he's in my guest room and he's in my gym and he's burning light bulbs and I got that. I don't think that he should be going and like getting new light bulbs. So that, in my opinion, is what you and Chiz had going on,
right?
Because I believe Chiz was there to film a little project. It's all about perspective.
Yeah, I didn't look at it through that lens. I definitely see your point. Yeah, and there was never any ill will. It just struck me.
Of course not. Either way, I'm sure he was like, you know what, I acclimated to the darkness.
In the spirit of shitting on landlords, like I have had bad experiences with big companies. Like the place I lived before this, like 5 years ago in that apartment, I must have called a dozen times over the course of almost 2 years. Like, hey, I've got like an alarming amount of black mold in my back entryway. And like I stopped using my back entryway entirely. Like you could come from the parking lot behind my place that was fenced in, like up to my apartment, or you could walk around through Death Alley and come in through the front. And so I always like would walk through the, homeless alley just to get around. So I would take my chances with the homeless instead of the black mold. They just didn't care. They just couldn't care less. It's like, hey, like it's like I've done some Googling and the internet tells me like this is alarming. Like it shouldn't be a torso amount of mold in the top of like your
torso amount,
like from my neck down to my like waist and as wide, just a patch of black mold and like slowly spreading. Like I think I could smell.
Does every house have air conditioning in the UK?
Nowhere has air conditioning. I've been in I know one millionaire in England and he doesn't have air conditioning.
I would bet in North Carolina, children's tree houses have air conditioning.
It's a safety issue. Yeah.
I don't know why we don't do it. I think it's just that it's hot for 3 weeks in a year. When
I
hot,
hear that all the
just
time.
deal with
That's
it.
bullshit. Yeah. That's such bullshit. They say that. I vacationed in Washington State in Seattle, I think, or maybe outside Seattle, and they don't have AC there. They're like, yeah, it's only hot here for like 3 weeks a month. Well, that's when we were there. That's when we were there then. Holy shit. We had fans all over the place, ordering them off Amazon. It's terrible.
I'm into this reef keeping thing, basically saltwater aquariums. All those fuckers in England have chillers for their fish while they sit there sweating in their living rooms. Wow. Because you need them.
Yeah, that's something we have over the UK. AC.
We got that thing. I got you can still buy like portable ACs, but they suck.
Oh, dude, you have one of those here, you get bullied. Look at this dumbass. Look at this.
Yeah, you really want a window unit too. You don't want your compressor inside the house putting all its heat in. It's fighting with itself. Silly head.
You want central air conditioning.
It's got a tube. There's not enough space in the floors because we have like brick. Like it was what I asked. I'm renovating this house and I asked about like, oh shit, how much would it be for me to get like actual real air conditioning? And it's not expensive.
2.5 weeks income.
Yeah.
Not even that. So
I'm gonna have to jack off on camera or something.
It's gonna take me 3 days to pay for all this.
You've probably seen like commercial places that do this. You just do that exposed metal industrial ducting overhead, just supported by. Because what do you fucking care, right? It looks good to me. It looks cool. That's what I think.
There's no room. You're talking like British house, British roof,
14-foot ceilings.
yeah. We have like real low ceilings in every house, and then the floors it's made out. The houses are physically smaller. There's no room in the walls.
What do y'all do better than us?
Huh?
What do y'all do better than us?
At,
like, what's better over there? Because you're like, our houses are small and hot, and they're wet for 3 weeks of the year. We go semi-aquatic. I'm just wondering, like day-to-day life. What do you think's better?
There's nothing. I'm trying to leave. There's literally like it depends who you are. Like if you're someone like very low income, UK is the place to be because we have so much better social programs and shit. But if you're a fucking OnlyFans guy or girl or YouTuber, then America's the place because everyone that you know is over in America. But
makes sense.
You know, Belle's here and that.
Well, you just need to marry someone.
I'm working on the visa. We've been trying, but.
Well, let me
marry someone to come to America. I was like, Kyle's just giving out terrible financial advice right now. Well, you just buy a fucking boat while you get married.
A houseboat.
You have no idea. You don't get it. I am in the like woman's position. I get to marry up. That's what I can do now. I've got to now find someone up.
Eddie Murphy.
There's a lot of billionaires in Florida. Ex-New York guys who want the heat.
Strippers there.
Find one of them.
Which I think is the move.
Marry a stripper? Get you a visa, marry a stripper?
There has to be some stuff that the UK does better.
Get her out of that club and on your OnlyFans. And, I mean, she pays for herself in, I don't know, 3 seconds?
Yeah, we do food better. It's so much better.
It's 1 second longer than I'd last.
There's no way.
Your food is better?
No, it's dog shit.
It's dog shit.
I think our food is okay. It gets a bad rap. The only thing that we do
right there.
Yeah.
And still.
Dude, like I just imagine like Italy and France constantly gossiping about the UK's food. Like just always being like, can you believe this? The beans for breakfast? It has been like fucking 500 years and they're still eating beans for breakfast. Like or whatever the fuck French people sound like.
That's
like,
it.
That's honestly, that's the part of English culture I hate the most is like trying to act as though beans for breakfast is normal, is acceptable, is a way to start the day. No wonder you guys fell off when that started becoming the alignment of the UK's collapse and a proper English breakfast aligns perfectly.
My anger climbing. I've made beans on toast for now 3 different Americans, and all of them resoundingly said, "That's all right."
Beans on toast. It's exactly what I thought it would be. Yeah, it's soggy. I'm ready to seize the day. Carpe diem.
Unanimously better than expected, but not.
Can't wait to be gassy by noon.
Yeah,
like what?
If you're lucky. Like what do we have that's the equivalent of that? I know that like people make fun of all of our bullshit like dessert breakfasts where people like Pop-Tarts and stuff.
To me, biscuits and gravy, like Southern biscuits and gravy, seems so. Even I grew up eating it, but still, and I would still love to eat it, but it seems absurd.
It's an indulgent breakfast.
We take a biscuit, which is different from your biscuits. It's this big flaky, buttery flour thing that's savory and salty, and they tear it into little bits, and then they pour white country gravy on it, which is made by making a roux of butter and flour, and then adding what I think milk or cream, half and half, depends how fatty you want it to be, and then salting and peppering it, and it becomes this delicious breakfast treat.
You just complained about the soggy beans on toast thing, and you're just putting liquid on
bread. It becomes like a porridge almost, like a meat, and there's chunks of sausage in the gravy. I didn't mention that. That to me is a weird breakfast that we eat, and I would understand if someone saw that and thought it was weird. The same way poutine to me is, I don't know, the gravy sliding in there seems a little off. I've had it before though, and it was fucking good. So I don't know.
I just admire the American confidence to have we've got like American branded restaurants here. We walk past a few. I've never been in one, but it's just all branded. Like you want pancakes and waffles and just dessert. It's a dessert parlor. That's all that it is. I admire that about you people. It's great.
I really don't understand how that even fucking happened. Like I went to IHOP a while back for breakfast, and they're not even pretending anymore. It's like cupcake pancake. I swear to God, I'm not making that up. There's a cupcake pancake. And
they put a sparkler in like a butter tray for your birthday.
It was
Just eat this fat ass.
It's like the tres leche or whatever, pancakes, like every like decadent dessert you can imagine. Carrot cake pancake. When I was a kid, like the crazy thing on the menu was the smiley face pancake that they would make for a kid. And it was just a little whipped cream, man.
Yeah.
It was like, can you believe it? They put whipped cream on there for breakfast.
Yeah.
Now
I
it's
once
just-
had a smiley face pancake, but it was made out of blueberries. It's so scary looking. It looks like a hard pancake.
dude, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Tutti fresh and fruity.
I can picture it's like bleeding purple eyes. His like mouth is screaming in pain.
You know what? You know what's funny is like in America, you scroll down this and you're like, let's take it easy. Original buttermilk, please.
Like the least decadent one. Now they do like a protein.
I can't feel my left foot already, so give me the harvest grain and nut.
Red velvet.
Rain
That
nut.
look good.
Good OnlyFans.
They all
post
look
idea.
fucking good. They
Yeah,
do a
you're right.
protein pancake too. That's not as crazy, but I'm not sure if they even have sugar-free syrup at that place. The idea of anything but sugar-free syrup to me is like it. Look at that shit. I mean, come on. It's a birthday cake.
Kyle, I agree
monument
with where
to
you were
man's
going
arrogance.
on that. So sometimes when I go for like a sugar-free alternative, it's a bit of a sacrifice, right? In my coffee in particular, I find it very tolerable to have stevia instead of sugar, but it's not the same. It's not as good. I find my almond cream to be very tolerable. I enjoy it, but it's not as good as real half and half. But if you were to put sugar-free syrup and regular syrup in front of me, I'm not sure I could identify which one I had. It's the same.
I'll say this: if you snuck the sugar-free into the sugar bottle, I wouldn't complain. I would never. I
so
would
you
never.
could tell,
It would
though.
never like come to me. If you put them side by side, especially like, all right,
Well, if I could read the bottle, sure.
Yeah.
Well, if I knew if I was doing the Pepsi challenge between two
Okay.
empty cups, for example, but there's some maple syrups that they make like, I don't know, like a fine scotch where they age the maple syrup in smoked bourbon barrels. And then, there's multiple grades of it. The different regions and what kind of weather they had that year affects the taste of the maple syrup. I could get down with something like that. But for the most part, that sugar-free, what's the name of it? Something Farms.
I think we
brand
get the
in
same one off Amazon.
We
right?
do. Yeah. It's
I
like
can find it.
it's 10 calories for like 2 big spoonfuls of syrup. It's
How the fuck, what's it made out of? I thought syrup is
Sucralose.
What is
some
that?
kind of fake sugar and
Yeah.
gelatin, I guess, and it smells like maple. When you pour it, it's like maple syrup. I make this for breakfast. What I do a lot, it's egg beaters, which is egg whites that they chemically make look yellow and thick and not like jizz. I pour that onto 3 pieces of low carb torn up toast and with like cinnamon and sweetener in it and bake that. And I've got this like eggy, custardy bread thing that I soak with that sugar-free syrup. It's so good. It's so good.
It's good for you.
I just ordered it off Amazon. It's the order's being processed.
On its way. Okay.
Nice.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's good as far as artificial sugar stuff goes.
Insta's got-
I saw a TikTok or something the other day where they did kind of like an old school Fear Factor challenge just on the street. And it was for so little money. Like it was like a couple of dollars every cup. Every cup had a dollar amount on it. You lift the cup. First one, I think there was like a cricket under there. Like you eat the cricket, you get the dollar. He eats cricket, they give him the dollar. The next bucket, cup, whatever, says like $5 on it. He's like, now you can risk the dollar and lift the $5 cup, but if you don't eat it, you lose your dollar. And he's like,
Yes.
I'll do it. And it's like a worm. And he keeps going until he's eating like Fear Factor level cockroaches and scary ass spiders. And I think he cleaned up with a cool 1750 or something. It was awful.
Good for him.
It was awful. I couldn't believe
With
it.
Joe Rogan yelling at him, chew, 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 chew.
If Joe Rogan came back for Fear Factor, I think they could get people to do much more awful things just because they're there with Joe. Like there's such a culture that respects and likes and has a fandom for Joe. There would be some bro on there. It's like, what do you need me to do, Mr. Rogan? What do you need me
Dude,
to
some of
do?
the like funniest clips I've seen of Rogan is him talking about Fear Factor, like what he was thinking as the host. Like someone asking him, like, so like you just like got used to guys like drinking cum and eating this stuff, and he's like, oh, I mean, I guess, but it's fucking disgusting, dude. Like, I'm having to yell and encourage these people to like drink the cum faster. You can do it. You can do it. Think of your son. He needs tuition. Drink the cum. It's like that would be just a surreal job to have. Like, do
Would
it.
you do it?
Chew.
What would you do
Rogan.
if Joe Rogan yelled at you to do it? What's the furthest you'd go?
It would depend what the person that went before me did. Like if the person that went before me was knocking it out of the park, like not even gagging, eating everything, I'd really try and look like I could hang with them. But I know I couldn't. Like as soon as a bug touched my tongue or something, I think I'd throw up. I don't think I could even eat like a cricket.
Fear Factor had a bunch of different aspects to it. Like I feel like I'd be really strong in the like lay down in a, coffin filled with cockroaches. Like that I could do. There was some athletic stuff like swimming underwater in an airplane and like swinging from a helicopter. I feel like that's the kind of bravery I have. The eating stuff, it's not my cup of tea. I would really struggle to down a glass full of bull semen or something.
Yeah, it'd be easier. I would hate skydiving. Like it's not an area of interest of mine, but if it's like, all right, you have the stein of bull semen or the plane, it's like strap me up. I'm going in the plane. Like
I'd go twice in the plane.
Yeah, I'll take. Can I drink this on the way up? Like this is.
Am I just not cool? I reckon whoever Fear Factor, the type of person that can complete that, who it's made for, I am the opposite of that guy. I can't. Dude, I'm still shocked every time someone says like, "Oh, I remember when they invented computers. We had a big one in school."
All right, you don't know anybody who knows when they invented computers, but
I had a grandma.
I'll say that the most boomer
Woody's
thing
right
about
here.
me that like it's one of those things that on paper sounds awful. I learned how to type on a typewriter. We had typewriters in my school. I will say this: you learn a lot faster because when you fuck up on a typewriter, there ain't no delete.
No, you got to rip the paper out.
There was
I
this
didn't
stage
learn how
of
to type.
typewriters where they had an LCD screen and you just type the sentence out and then the like computer, I guess, would just like after you said go, I'm happy with this, it would type it all out.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah. I hated it.
This is not going to line
little
up.
Sliver of technology that stems the gap between the
Typewriter and
electronic
computers.
typewriter, which is what I learned on. You might picture a typewriter where you're mechanically fucking driving hammers or something. It ain't that shit. I'm not a gumshoe detective or anything, secretary. But it was a big fucking machine, and it had a very pleasant sound when you hit a fucking key. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. And when you got on a roll, if you could type, 80 words per minute, it's fun. It's kind of cool. And a whole room full of them. I like it. I enjoyed learning on the typewriter.
What happens to anyone who's had some level of success is they think it's all theirs. Like, oh yeah, I got to where I am, because my own hard work and gumption and bootstraps, something like that. Yeah. So listen to my privileged upbringing. Yeah, I would write out my book reports in like 4th grade, and my father, who had a secretary who typed like 130 words per minute, would just like put it up, type it all out for me, and then I'd hand it in at school.
You lucky bastard. Dude, I remember like being in 4th, 5th grade and them telling us like this book report has to be typed. And I remember just like, oh, okay, it's going to take me 3 to 6 minutes to write it. And then typing, I guess I'll probably be done by tomorrow morning, maybe. And like, I would like mess up and I remember fucking up and accidentally hitting insert and not knowing why I couldn't like backspace normally anymore and being like, I don't know what to do. And so I just like deleted everything and like restarted again. I remember like 6th grade, like this lines up with not with Woody, maybe with Kyle a bit. Like I remember being given a floppy disk to like save work on in like 6th grade and having a feeling in my head of like, this is like, whoa, they're trusting me with something. Like it's just a little floppy disk, but in my head it was like, this is how you do things as an adult.
Hang on, Finn, do you know what a floppy disk is?
I know what it looks like.
No, not a floppy disk.
Yeah,
floppy disk. It's a little square thing. It's got a little metal slider to expose.
It's like it looks exactly like the save icon. That's what they modeled it off, right?
Yeah,
exactly that.
Yeah.
When you hold one, feels nice.
It
When
does.
when you pop it into a machine, the machine is sort of spring loaded. You're pushing a thing, and then all of a sudden it clicks back into place, and it goes in. It's a really cool tactile feel. But those things are like 8 megabytes, if I remember correctly.
1.54 maybe 1.45 megabytes.
Went to the moon
Not
with
a
that
lot.
shit.
I don't know. I had the number 8 in my head, but I was playing video games using them in the computer lab of our poor ass school, and and you'd go to the fucking. They were in like a cart. All these cartridges were in like a thing, like a toolbox, and you pick your goddamn 8-bit game. Maybe that's why I'm thinking 8.
1.44 is what it was.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm thinking 8-bit game then. I just remember that. I kind of missed that. All right, here's what would be
You
cool.
remember like and taking them out with that button that like would go chunk, and then it.
You felt like a
lifts
secret
little-
agent, like securing
Yeah.
the folders and the data or some shit.
It's like a swordfish.
I almost wish I had a drive like that, but it was really I don't have information to move around anyway.
We used floppy
terabyte.
disks when I was in college. Like they were still a thing when I was going to school, and people would like trade them. Like, oh, do you need this? Here's a disk with this like group project or whatever. The thing is, they were $1 a disc, which is like nowadays saying maybe $5, and people would just give them to each other like they didn't cost anything. But not me. Like I'm broke. I'm living in a low-income housing unit with a violent drug dealer underneath me, and it's I can't just give away fucking $5 like it's free. This is a half a meal. But I guess I did. Social pressure.
I've found out that apparently there's a 500 gigabyte floppy disk that is available.
Nice.
Nice. That's where the sex tape's
Piece of
going. Because
history.
how cool's that? You write across the floppy disk. No one will steal that shit or know how to use it. It'll be great.
They wouldn't know how to get
Put
it out.
in.
Get a VHS, man. VHS, you can like write it in big letters so you can read it, right?
Okay, that I did grow up with. I did have VHS. I had,
Really?
like,
I'm
a
surprised.
Okay, boomer.
You were poor, huh?
You were-
Oh my god.
VHS was like normal up to like the mid 2000s,
Yeah,
The
that's
mid, what do you mean by that? Like 2005?
like 2003, 2004. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was
something like that,
DVDs.
I guess.
I have
I remember
memories
when-
of them, so it must have been like at least 2005, 2006.
I think you're stretching it. I feel like DVDs were that time.
I think DVDs were coming into their so I remember them being very expensive in 2000, 2001, and then you know how tech does. There was some point where it went from being thousands of dollars or $1,000 to 800 and then 500, and then I just remember when Walmart finally introduced that $20 DVD player, and it was like the size of a DVD box. It was so little, this piece of shit, and everybody bought one. But that meant you could get a decent one for $50 or $80 or something. So that's what we did. Or maybe I had the PlayStation or something.
I remember
Yeah,
this.
I
The
did.
PlayStation was a
PlayStation.
cheaper DVD player than a DVD player was.
That's what I did.
And like that, because they're like loss leaders, or maybe they sell them at cost, whereas the people making DVD players were trying to make a profit. So why not get a PlayStation? It did it too.
Yeah.
Didn't Sony own and invent the Blu-ray and own that? And so they were licensing it out to everyone else, but then they were free to just throw a Blu-ray player into their PlayStation.
Maybe I'm mixing up DVD with Blu-ray on this story.
Oh, maybe I am too.
Yeah.
I'm a little stoned. I think it's Blu-ray though. I think Sony owns Blu-ray, because I remember that was the second generation of competition between HD DVD and Blu-ray, right? Wasn't that a thing?
Yes, I remember that too.
There were people with collections of HD DVDs.
Yeah. Right next to their fucking what was the other, the VHS
Laserdisc.
yeah,
Betamax.
Laserdisc or Betamax.
But my family standardized on Betamax because it was better. And but as the years went by, the selection just dwindled, and we had to switch.
I remember like being frustrated by how many of like my Lion King and Jungle Book not cassette tapes, my VHS tapes, like my little brother would like tear the stuff out of.
Oh,
And like I remember thinking like why do they make it where anyone can just
destroy it.
like it takes half of one and then it's never going to go back. You can't roll it
No.
back in there. It's all folded and fucked up. It's not going to play.
It won't even
So,
play right.
like
if you
I
get in.
remember like having to wait weeks at one point for a new copy of Jungle Book.
That's
And
shitty.
like being pissed, like, you son of a bitch. Like that while mom is doing her disco workout, I like to dance to Baloo. Like, that's my day. That's what gets me, that's what gets me up in the morning. Like,
Did he like completely unreel it?
yeah, enough that like I came back in from outside and it was just laying there with like
So
half the
bad.
movie pulled out of it.
Was
and
it
it's like,
that song?
we both like The Jungle Book. Like, why
Was
have you
it that?
done this?
Ooh ooh ooh! I want to be like
Yep.
you. Ooh,
Oh
ooh.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
played that nonstop. I can't imagine that was a fun thing to be around because that's all I wanted to listen to. It was just Blue.
You're referencing the event, right? That happened.
Huh?
Not just
No.
making a joke, right? Oh, you don't know what happened.
I do
No.
not.
All
I
right.
was
So
making
does
a
everyone
joke.
know what a railgun is?
Yeah.
You know,
All
I
right,
know
so
of
in
it, but can
theory-
you explain it?
The Nazis
so
had
you're
one?
using electromagnets to accelerate a projectile down a barrel. So the same way that you've used magnets before and they repel one another, they're doing that over and over in sequence, timed perfectly by like a fly-by-wire system, so that you accelerate these objects really fast and without any propellant. A man went in for an MRI with a butt plug in recently, and he became a human railgun because now his complaint, and he noted this in his lawsuit because yes, he survived,
Oh, he's
was that butt plug said 100% silicone,
Hmm.
but in the core was a steel item there. You know, it's a steel core, like I guess for weight or rigidness. And so the
rolls the dice
MRI
on this?
being the most powerful magnet any of us will ever come into contact with, unless we work at CERN or something and are accelerating protons. It accelerated that fucking butt plug all the way up to like here, and I'm slapping my hand on the middle of my chest sort of area. It's like up in his shit so goddamn far, and of course, he was there to get MRI, so they got a good image of it.
Wait, sure. Why would they not put you through a metal
Sir.
detector before?
Did you eat a butt plug right just now? No? Well, then we have an issue.
They just
Oh, there
asked.
you go.
Oh my god! They
How
go
did
on
he
your
live?
word.
All
They
right,
put
so,
you
all
in
right,
the
so
world's biggest magnet without just like, hey, do you have
Oh
any
my
metal
God,
on you?
guys.
And if you can't remember, you just take your life.
I think
Oh
they ask you
oh my
about
God.
tattoos. Is there iron in a tattoo or something?
hang on, guys. I'm seeing so many things here. So what this is I think a standard X-ray or something they did after the event. This is the oh my God, let's figure out what's happened to him. Look down at where his asshole is. They have inserted a thing and inflated it to staunch the bleeding and create a new asshole for him because his old one is gone. That is that like gray area that's perfect, Zach. Yeah, that's the gray bulbous thing right above his pelvis. That's something they have inserted into him and then inflated for the purposes of sealing his butt. Because look how wide the back part of that butt plug is, the
Yeah.
part that you kind of grab with a couple fingers.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that ripped through him, so he no longer has an asshole. And I think if you look at the plug itself, there are two round spheres in it. Those are metal.
So this guy wasn't even close in his guess. It looks like it's mostly metal.
It's mostly metal.
That's a really big butt plug.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
see.
Like an artillery shell, dude.
Nah,
You know
that's normal.
I'm not
God,
quite on
look-
that level yet, Woody.
Man, that's
So
the
Go through the training
the-
phase of the steps, how
The confidence to wear that in your asshole in an
Oh,
MRI.
it's the kink, right? He wanted
Or-
to be found.
Oh, of course he wanted it in his ass,
Yeah.
but it's like, come on, man. Now you got it way in your. Not
It
even in
could
your ass.
also be.
This went way better than he ever thought.
Couldn't. Yeah,
he might-
surpassed all
He might
expectations.
have also wanted the novelty of having an MRI of himself with that thing in his butt, and thought that was going to be cool to have.
Makes
but
sense.
I mean, and look, he turned out he was right. He has an incredible series of scans here, but he's never going to shit right. That's
I don't
done.
know.
It's like a cprinter.
He's going to get a
Sheets.
colostomy bag for sure. Dollars of donuts. He's getting a colostomy bag.
Oh, I
He's
hope
real-
not.
I cannot believe
Oh,
this person's
I
alive.
know so.
Are you sure this person's alive? You're sure?
Surely they wouldn't have put that much work in after.
I'm not 100% sure, but my recollection is that he was filing suit. I'm not sure if he was suing the MRI operator or the butt plug company, but I think it might have been the butt plug because it says 100% silicone on the outside. But they mean on the outside.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it's so that you know that Oh God, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So is this like the Amazon listing? It showed that there's ball bearings in it.
And to be fair, like now that I'm looking, it's possible that even though it showed up on the scan looking a certain way, that the grabby part in the back was semi-flexible. But I still stand by that they had something stuck in his butt there to keep it from bleeding out or falling out.
I wonder if it happened.
Oh, don't circle that one, Zach. No, no.
Did it happen instantly or did it like escalate? Was it like
Instantly?
I bet it was instant. Yeah, it's so fast.
Okay.
How big is 2 inches, Taylor? I'm trying to imagine it. Can you just
like
do your fingers?
Like
about
this.
the size of your thumb?
Okay.
No, that means that isn't that what he's circling?
Oh, that's
around means?
diameter.
Doesn't that mean 2 inches in diameter, right?
Fucking how big that is.
2 inches in diameter is the thickness from edge to edge, and it's like that's a big one.
How much is a soda can? That's always a good, like a 12-ounce soda can is a good one to go by.
What's a soda can?
What do you think? 3 something?
This is definitely bigger than 2.
I call it 2 3/4.
Well, then that was a serious ass plug.
Yeah.
Oh,
What he said, 3 inches, Taylor? How wide is a soda can in the middle?
what did you say?
I said 2 3/4.
I'm gonna say 2 5/8.
It's 3 exactly.
It's
Oh,
3
I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm sorry,
Oh
Finster.
shit. I was gonna say smaller than 2.
It's
Is
3.
it 2 inches, Zach? Woody's already
No, so
proofread.
the can is exactly
Not
3.
proofread, but
Okay, look at that.
I don't know what
Learning
Zach
things.
has there, but I googled it.
Yeah.
I think it's a cock
It's just
ring.
like a
Either way, yeah, this is a helpful picture with the penny. Yeah, this guy's.
Oh, it's learning what 2
fucked up.
inches is. I understand. Although he would also
Oh.
have needed to handle the penny before.
Oh, yeah, that's a funny thing. Using American currency as the
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's what's interesting about sending on a message to aliens. Is like, oh yeah, we're this, not that, and they're like, what the fuck are those two things? You know?
I have a friend that whenever they visited the UK, I didn't realize they were doing this, but they were making up currency in America. I knew what a quarter was. I didn't know, and I know what a cent was. And they just kept making up gibberish words, and they were like, "This is whatever 15 cents is," and it was just nonsense words, and I believed them for way too long.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
This is,
I love that.
A quickle.
This is
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was stuff like that.
This is a
notes.
gimbal. It's
Yeah,
like
this is a
18
gimbal.
cents.
Yeah, a time.
I think I
In
only
olden
clocked on
times,
when they
in
went
olden
a bit
times,
too
we had
far.
much cooler currency. I'm sorry, I stepped on you twice. What'd you
No,
what'd
you're
you
good.
say?
No, I was gonna say I definitely clocked on as soon as they said something like, "Oh, this is a floob," you know. And I go, "Oh no, no shot."
$3 bill's real.
Remember
It was
the like
different in the olden times, Kyle. I don't.
all right, so obviously it's a huge amount of time, but I'm thinking of American currency. Those Wild West style banknotes, the banknotes from the 1850s to 1900s or so, were big. You had like almost like a half a sheet of notebook paper, like this big stack of money. And then they had different denominations. I really like the golden coins, which at the time I know like
Doubloons.
whatever that weight of coin was the value of gold that it was, right? So a $20 gold piece represented that gold right now is worth $20 for this fucking much. So whether I'm handing it to you at the mercantile store or whatever for pay, or I'm the mercantile store, or you're melting it down and handing it to the gold smelter,
Yes.
you're going to come out with the same value either way.
It's like
Mm.
Bitcoin.
So they had tons of different denominations of coins of silver and gold back then that meant what they were.
And like, do you know why they added those lines, like the ridged texturing to the outside of coins, like in the Roman Empire? Because
vending machines.
they didn't used to have that on the edge, and what people would do is they would clip coins, and so they'd get a coin of gold and they'd clip the edges off and be like, "Hey, I'll pay you for this," and like they don't know, like you were clipping the coins, and so they started adding textures, so like you could tell, hey, this coin's been clipped. This is not what it's actually worth. It's weighs less than this now. And so that was probably a really
you can also
frustrating
feel
day
by
in Rome.
you can also tell by feel if you're blind, really easily what's going on, dimes to pennies, certainly with the ridges. But yeah, I remember watching a whole thing about how people would, and when they find the old coins from Roman coins, I think a lot, they'll be clipped, sort of like
with nail
livestock's ears will be clipped sometimes. This little triangle cut out of them. But yeah, they're just taking a little chunk of silver out of out of the fucking dinar
Very
or whatever that
sneaky
thing's
of them.
called.
Yeah, the dinar.
Well, Thanos like abilities, basically an omni power.
If you're in charge, is that like a bad guy you'd go to? Like, if I was gonna pretend to be a bad guy in a dream, I think like living out some sort of Al Capone thing might be kind of fun, like being a gangster, that kind of shit. Or maybe like
creating a new fantasy world, like a holodeck. I meant now I am God. This is my virtual reality world. Become water. Like now there's fish inside of you, water man. How does it feel? You do that.
Fish inside you, Waterman.
How does it feel to be breathed?
I mean, okay, well then that's good. I haven't had a real good lucid dream.
That's one of the things I would do to my enemies. I would make them be the water in Woody's fish tank. And every time Jackie came to laze the enemies, it would burn.
Make him into the water.
That's what I would do to that goddamn guy who knocked on my door trying to sell shingles to a house I rent today. It's like waking me the fuck up. Oh.
No, you got solicited for shingles for the house you're renting?
Yeah.
Don't you have a no solicitation sign?
Yeah, I have a no solicitation sign. Yeah.
Ignore that.
What you need is a long ass driveway. They don't ignore that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You had one at your last place. It was pretty long.
It was not only long, it was a little creepy.
Yes,
like,
it had a turn in it, I think.
It did. I would tell people who were coming there for the first time, especially if it was a girl, like, let me meet you at the mailbox. My driveway looks like something out of a horror movie. Like you drive along a dirt road and then dead end. And you're like, wait, what happens? And you're like, no, look directly to your right. You missed it. There's a different colored road now that goes up into these trees. And it would be sketchy as fuck. I've invited people over and they would just keep driving straight into nothing and then be out looking around. And I'm like looking out my window like, shit, this is going to scare the fuck out of them when I explain.
The sex is going to be great, baby. No one can hear you screaming.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was sketchy. I liked it though. It was pretty private. I could that hot tub in the backyard. It was nice to have like a private area back there. And then that's where we did the Wings boot camp all the way back there in that like back field area, which I think was, I owned that too. I had to tear all that shit down. I'm so white trash. I had left a little bit of it up right up until it was time to move out. I filled I had to throw all that shit in the dumpster. They were like, what did you have going on out there? I lied and told them that I had dogs that did. I was like, oh, that's the obstacles for my dogs. Yeah. I didn't want to go into the whole story. It was gonna be hard to explain.
The whole like solicitation thing. I kind of like them at this point. The only people that really knock on your door are like people who want to sell you different windows, but occasionally I get a great one, which is someone preaching whatever religion it was, which means I get to answer the door like this and not say anything while they talk to me about religion, and they say, cool, bro. And they have like a, oh, you're the problem. sort of looking at it. I love that shit. They're great. Yeah, right. They realize they've been doing nothing the entire time.
That's got to be off-putting. Like I think another thing that maybe you could do like a religious themed photo shoot, right? Like you could do like a nun thing.
That would annoy a lot of people.
Oh, no. You got to go to church though, and like get whoever your photographer is to like get some pictures.
Dead.
Here's what I want. Here's what I want. I want you coming out of a confessional booth, giving like a wink, like you just had a lot to confess. I think
you'd be good at this, man. This whole management of only.
Oh, that would be so funny. That would be so. I mean, I wouldn't want to be associated with it. I'm just saying you should do it. I don't want that smoke. Leave the Catholics alone. They've been doing this for a long time.
I recently learned that my area of England, I keep saying like, I want to move to Texas. That's if I can get to America, that's where I want to be because taxes. But like, if I can get there, that's the plan. And everyone in my chat always says something along the line, you want to move to Texas? Are you fucking kidding me? And then I'll go off Googling the stats. Technically, I live in a more religious area than like the word Texas on average. And it's certainly more than Austin,
Oh yeah, I was just about to say somewhere like Austin is funky. Is like a funky little liberal town. Like, dude, nobody's gonna hate crime you there.
Only like 20-something% of the people here are not religious. It's like an absolute giant majority, which means my Uber rating is down.
I looked this up the other day because I thought that I was in this vast minority of the unbaptized. But apparently, modern children in the United States are only baptized at like 25 to 32%, something like that. I don't know. I'm rough memory with the stats, but it was low. And I wonder, maybe I should have Googled.
Would you baptize your kids?
Fuck no, I'm not baptized. I'm going to wash them in some magic water.
Yeah, all my kids are baptized.
Hey, man, look, I'm not judging you or your lifestyle, but you asked me if I'm going to baptize my children. And when it comes to my imaginary family.
Yes, they're very important to you.
I don't believe in imaginary, all-powerful beings that don't seem to ever do anything any more than the next guy. But I don't know. It's kind of like a family party and celebration of the new baby. We kicked off each of their college accounts with it. You know,
would you do the same festivities, but no water though? And hey, leave Father Jimmy Hands at home. We're gonna have let's actually do this at Pizza Hut.
That would work just as well, or a nice restaurant. You know what I do like to believe about myself? I'm not sure it's true because you're talking about a young man. Typically, if that priest like was mean to my baby, ever see him like slap the kid because they're crying? Jesus. I hope I would be that dad that's like, how do you like it? Fucking give that old wrinkly ass priest, dunk him, slap him, like just do what he did to that infant and be like, what do you think now? Huh? You dish it out. Now you're against a guy who's bigger than stronger than you. Let's dance, motherfucker.
I'm gonna take that box of fucking wafers he's got and crush them all up. How you like that?
I hope I'd be that guy. Clean. You always see the dads. They're like, oh man, what should I do here? He's a priest. Everyone respects him. And here he is hitting my child. I hope I'd be the guy that's like, what
the fuck? Yeah, that's a real, what the fuck do you think you're doing kind of moment.
That baby's going to get fucked up. It's going to be sad in life later on and not know why. It's going to be scared of random shit.
That baby will be fine.
No
But that guy's job is to spritz my baby and to speak Latin. Anything beyond that is not going to work out too well. Like I've seen him be violent with those kids. It's like, dude, you could snap some kid's fucking neck if you jerk him the wrong way. Don't do that.
I'm 100% going to be the type of parent that needs the advice, like, don't shake the baby. I couldn't be a parent for a while because I would get so frustrated.
They're tough. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they can take
shake them a little.
When they're bigger, like 2 or 3, we had this inflatable thing. It was like a bouncy castle, but small enough to fit in your living room. And it also had like cages on the side and a roof. We called it the Dome of Terror. Hope loved it. I would be in there and it'd be like, you ready to dance? And I would just take her and slam her against the walls and the inflatable floor. And I do this thing with kids where I like jiggle them and they giggle. They love it. And that was the the Ring of Terror.
I do that to my dogs. You like grab and you
slam them against the walls.
No, like I think he called it what do you call it, the jiggles or something?
Sure.
I'll put my hands on my dogs, like kind of pin him down and go, like really give him that. I call it giving him the trembles, and when I do it, I go like he's making that noise. It's a real good time.
I teach kids to go and then I hit their chest. It's a huge crowd pleaser.
Yeah. Oh man, you're a good parent, dude. You sound fun.
What about me? I told you I was cool with the dog.
Oh yeah, you're a good dog parent.
When I don't get some I don't hit any strays there at all. Like hey,
with my dog. Here's what nice. My dog's toenails are too long.
You're nice to.
And you can't brag about your dogs now.
She hates. No, this is not one up at all. She hates it when you clip her toenails. Can't stand it. So we like keep the clippers on the coffee table, and I'm like a ninja in there. I just get one. I eyeball it from a little distance when she doesn't know that I'm scoping her out and be like, all right, that's my target toenail. I walk up, I clip it. The whole operation takes like 1 second. She's like, how dare you? I was like, yeah, too late now.
I gotta try that.
19 more.
You're a good dog owner. I like you. You're good at that. You're doing great.
My neighbor's the fucking worst. He moved out and abandoned his 2 goddamn dogs. It's like a 10-year-old dog and like a 3-year-old dog, and they're fighting all the fucking time. Where the little ones, the young one's beating the shit out of the other one. He left him over there, and it was like 90 degrees with no water and no food.
Yikes.
But I guess enough of us neighbors called and complained that the guy's parents who actually owned the house forcibly made him come back and take care of the dogs to some extent. So that's good, I guess, for now. But it's just a piece of shit. It's real sad. They're over there all fucking panting, and there's flies on them and shit.
Oh fuck!
Oh, those poor
puppers.
pups.
Yeah,
Fucked up.
That's ridiculous.
Are you gonna take?
Oh, and then like
revenge
animal
on their
control. No, no vengeance will be on my hands. I shall
Coward.
turn. I told you I've already got beef with that big lady.
How many felonies do you have so far?
2.
Two.
Yeah,
beef
pump
with
those up.
that
Those
big
are rookie
lady.
numbers, Kyle.
Those
You
are
got to
just
pump those
convicted
numbers
ones.
up. Those are the convictions.
I mean, the beef you have with that big lady, it seems like she just wants beef.
Dude,
because it
that
doesn't
chick's
seem to be
been-
your
That's how
fault.
she got big.
No,
Yeah.
because here's how I know that she's just a real piece of shit. When I first moved here, one of my dogs got out and ran across the street into the neighbor's yard. I immediately went over, grabbed him, took him back inside. But as I was doing it, a random gentleman was walking his dog down the sidewalk, and I was apologizing to him for perhaps spooking him with my unleashed dog. And he was like, "Oh, I don't care, but the queen bee lives right there. Better watch her. Don't let her catch you slipping." And that's when I knew we had like a homeowner association fucking bad bitch in the neighborhood.
The queen
And
bee.
that's what it is. She gets up every morning at 6 a.m. I know because I'm often up at that hour, taking my dogs out, and goes to work every day. And then she comes home and fucking worries about me and my dogs. Like, she's already reported me to animal control at least once. Like she's fucking ridiculous.
Whoa.
And then one time, my groceries got delivered to her stoop instead of mine, and she said, "Tell your delivery drivers not to use my driveway to turn around in. I have a crack in my driveway, and I pull in a special way not to put pressure on that crack. And they're just backing right in, using my driveway to turn around." And I was like, I'm not going to be able to communicate that to drivers. They really struggle. Man, they already got the food at the wrong address. And you're wanting them to have special back out instructions. I don't think this is going to vibe. And she's just all, "Okay, then fine. That's how it's going to be." So now I'm like trying to rig up one of those water balloon launchers from the 80s and shoot like Roundup filled water balloons over my house into her yard, like medieval times.
Roundup.
Yeah, like kill her whole yard. But then I remembered I'm a goddamn adult. And so I just,
So
I
you're
just
gonna
turned the
TP
other
your
cheek.
house.
No, I turned the other cheek. God damn it. Just let it go. Decide that I will be the adult, and I'll just let her insolence slide and not be a piece of shit and not shoot water balloons into her yard like a child, which is what I would have
Well,
done when I was 20.
That's what you would have done at 20 is launch raid into their yard.
I had beef with this one guy, and I went in the dead of night.
They couldn't get two actors.
Strange
They
image.
hired a guy on both sides of that that stupid.
But yeah, I've killed someone's yard before. I've sprayed it with Roundup and gotten it. It took weeks for it to start dying. At first, we were like, "Damn it, nothing happened."
damn it, grass is tough.
And then like
Put a
it
penis
started
on it.
dying. A penis would have been brilliant. It really would have. But we were just trying to cover as much surface area as possible. He deserved it. He had been outright mean.
Rude.
Dude,
Rude
I'm
was
on
the
the
word, yes.
Unethical Life Pro Tips subreddit.
Uh,
They're all about clever revenge there. It's really the theme of the subreddit. How to damage people. Some of it's rough, like fucking with people's cars in ways where it's hard to catch you.
Oh,
Have you
there's
seen
criminals?
the revenge subreddits? The like nuclear have you seen those scales of those?
Yeah, there's like professional revenge and
Jeez.
petty revenge and
petty revenge. Petty revenge is fun. All right, so I like the ones where someone like they've been stealing the guy's breakfast burrito for a month, so he fills it up with habaneros. That's revenge, goddammit. You don't have to report someone to the feds.
Oh, dude, this is like
I photoshopped him into January 6th, and I'm reporting him to the FBI.
there
he
is.
stole my burrito, so I planted crack on him.
I'm not kidding. That exists. Like, okay, so the scales of this: the petty revenge is the habaneros in your fucking burrito that someone's stealing, or like slightly making someone look bad at work. And then it goes pro revenge, which is the natural step up to that they created, which is like, killing someone's whole lawn,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then there's a few after that ending in like nuclear revenge, where it's literally like, this guy stole my burrito at work, I killed his wife. Like that sort of level of shit. It's
Damn.
insane. None of them are justified. If you go on there, you'll see some insane shit.
You know, one of my
Habanero
favorites
thing's
was a
justified.
guy kept stealing a woman's milk, like that she used for coffee or cream or whatever. So she replaced it with breast milk,
Yeah.
and then told him afterwards. And
Yeah.
some guys get
And
really
then she
creeped
caught
out
him
by that.
chugging it.
Motherfucker got enough free upgrade, dude.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like, all right, so cow's milk, I love cow's milk,
Mhm.
and cashew milk is what I've found to be like the best milk substitute for the calories. It's expensive as shit though. When you start adding it up, for some reason I thought those were gallon containers I was buying. They're like like $14 a gallon for that shit. Jesus Christ, it's like rocket fuel.
Cashews are rich man's nut.
Apparently so. I should just go ahead and get macadamia milk, but it's the idea of goat's milk or even human's milk is kind of a big turnoff. I'm watching Barry, and there's a scene where one of the characters is sort of hiding out in Chechnya on a goat farm, and he pours his off-brand, Chechen cereal in his bowl, realizes there's no milk, and he goes out and straight up milks a goat, and then goes back in and just eats that warm goat milk cereal.
Nice hot milk for your cereal.
Yeah, hot goat milk right off the teat.
I bet it's better than dry cereal.
I bet it is too.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Goat
Goat milk's
cheese
kind of
is
got that twang to it. That sort of.
Goat cheese is in the world of cheese. It's not a winner. Like it's all cheese is good cheese for the most part. But
I'm a real cheese connoisseur. I can point out on it to a map where the closest charcuterie places are. I am a connoisseur. My favorite.
I'm a connoisseur as well. You point to anything, I'll tell you if it's cheese. That's how I can tell.
Like
that's cheese.
Those
That's
are,
cheese.
What are your favorite cheeses?
Orange.
There was a place in Brighton, which is the only good city in England. It's just very calm and nice. It's a bit like if you were gonna like port over like California vibe of people. They're kind of chilled. They're kind of hippies. Nothing's like a high rise. It's just a nice place. There's lots of like locally owned coffee shops and shit. And there's a cheese place. There's a chocolate. It's like you spend like £30. You can have a medieval fucking dining experience, like a whole, like one of those shots on a king's table, whereas like knights are eating shit like that, and it was great. And it was run by one French guy, and he knew everything about everything.
That's it,
right.
Yeah. Like
it was empty. The whole place was like filled with grandma furniture, but it was so comfy. I love that place. I've never gone back because I think it would like ruin the first experience I had of it.
I'd love to go to a charcuterie board restaurant and just, I guess like a tapas restaurant and just like pick at stuff and be like, oh, I'm not overeating.
Even though
I'm just picking at things for hours.
5,000 calories of cheese.
I've been watching this YouTuber. I mentioned him before. He does all sorts of eating stuff or food related stuff, but it's really interesting stuff. He's been on Rogan before, but he was in, I don't know, Singapore, Thailand, somewhere like that, and he went to the cheapest buffet in the city and the most expensive buffet in the city. The cheapest one was $1, and you had heaps of meats and like noodles and shit. It was so much shit. But it was a lot of low grade meats. It was like, look at that's the eyeball still in there. Look at that. That's a good fish head. There's like all sorts of fish based stews and
some fresh
sort of like pastes of meat that I wasn't quite familiar with. But then when he got to the one that was $80 holy fucking shit. It rivaled anything I'd ever seen in Vegas. Like those expensive ones in Vegas that I've at Chacho. Like
I'd love
there
to go
was
to a
so
nice
much
buffet.
lobster and crab, like and oysters and just everything. So much.
I've never been to a nice buffet. Like my buffet experience is pretty much Golden Corral.
Oh, next time you go to Vegas, that's it's my favorite part of Vegas because I don't like prostitutes, in-person gambling, bright lights, places that don't have fucking clocks. I'm not
Vegas
a fan
is
of
not
like
the place for you.
or I also don't like cocaine or fucking meth. Guys,
desert folk.
You don't like in-person gambling, but online gambling is cool. It's a strange one.
I love in-person gambling, but something about the Vegas experience is so awful.
Yes.
I would much rather be in kind of a private game or a semi-private game. like a quiet poker room somewhere. The experience there, it's just constant drone of voices, unless you're playing late nights, I guess. But it's just, and it's a big table. I don't love it. I don't love it. You're in rooms full of other people. Your poker table, like you have to, when you get up, there's a guy behind you whose chair's back, and you're like, oh, don't let me bump this guy right fucking behind me. I'm not afraid of heights in particular, but I don't like them either, especially if I'm not secured. And I was scared to go on a couple of them. And I was scared the first time I rappelled backwards off of a surface into no man's land. Like, we're all standing on a platform, me and Woody and all the boys, and they're like, all right, jump backwards off this platform. You're 40 feet up, go. And you're rappelling, you're catching yourself. But it's a weird step to take if you've never done that before. So there were scary moments of that. So that was kind of thrilling and fun. And then that place we were at in particular, it was in North Carolina or where Tennessee and North Carolina and Georgia do some weird shit. I think it was like a quarter mile long or something, 400 feet off the ground. We were like over this huge chasm, and it had started raining as we were going. So the first people, you could hear the noise that the pulley makes on the cable. Zzz, and it gets quieter as they get away from you, and you see them get caught on the far end of this fucking canyon we're traversing. But the rain kept making the cable wetter and wetter. And the guy was like, oh, you boys are gonna, whoever wants to go fastest, you can go last. I didn't hear him say that.
So you're just like, your lips are like,
and I think
back.
maybe either Woody didn't hear it, or like he didn't realize that he could have shifted behind me, or maybe he thought I really wanted to go fast, and I certainly wasn't going to ask to go slow. So dude, the first guy, it went zzz. When I got on that bitch, it went zzz. It was so fucking wet. That was scary. That was legitimately scary. And I did panic at one point earlier in the day and almost stuck my fucking hand into the pulleys, which would have eaten all my fingers off. And it's embarrassing because
that would have ruined your whole day.
It would ruin my life. It would ruin my life.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing because I own a zip line. Like I have one. Like at that time it was like fully operational, and I was using it all the time. Like I wouldn't even put on the safety harness. I would just run like a fucking, like it's TV and grab onto the thing and hang on to it as I like went down the thing.
What the fuck is the process to getting a zip line?
There's a company, they'll come out and like two dudes in a truck, and they'll throw up like one pull after another for you, or one zip after another for you.
You could make like the best, like, the slides coming out the house sort of thing, like a zip line to the back of the garden thing from the second floor. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I had it so that you could take like 20 steps out of my dad's yard and climb up a little tower and then zip all the way down to the bottom of the hill. You get pretty fast, but nothing like what I'm talking about, that place that Woody and I went. That was fun, I thought, though. And also, like I said before, the real cool part is, I don't know, there's a lot of camaraderie. Like, we made friends with those people. Woody's a really friendly guy in real life. Like, he's always talking to people. He's trying to, I don't know, befriend cash register operators and cashiers. And
they prefer cash register operator.
They do. But we were buddies with all the people that were in our little squad by the time that day was over. It was a good time.
That's how it is skiing. You like make friends with someone on the lift because like if you've never skied before, like you can either go in like quads or doubles, and like usually like a lift will carry like 4 people. And so if you're in a group of 4, you'd be in all 4. Or if it's like you 2 other people, and then you and someone else, you get matched with 2 other people. And then there's the singles line, which is like the fastest moving line. It's the best way to ski. Don't wait in line at skiing to ride the lift up with your friends. Just everybody get in the singles line. You get to ski a lot more. But the people who are in the singles line are like the people who want to talk to you about snowboarding so badly. They don't dabble in snowboarding. They live for snowboarding. They live for skiing. And so like in the world of people who show up at a mountain to ski, I'm very good at skiing, of people who like don't know like what they're doing. Like I know how to skate, and so I can go down all the way up to black diamonds and everything pretty competently. Damn. These guys, like sometimes you get off a lift and you can see like, oh, there's a giant carved out area to the left where everyone has gotten off the lift and gone to the left, because that's the easier runs, the normal runs. And then there's a curve to the right where you can like still see individual paths through powder. And that's where like these guys go to, like, it's called a back bowl. And so like it's not even a real run. I remember once I went to like the top of one to look, like a double black death diamond, and I looked down and I was like, what? Where do you put your feet? Like, what do you do? Because it's like you would be falling at times, like to the next, like, and it really eye opens. Like, oh, I thought I was like serviceable at this. I'm not even like I could die if I tried to go on this route that this guy's going down right now. It's impressive. Like the reaction time, like a really good skier or snowboarder has, how fast they are at responding to the moguls. It's a really fun activity, and I think you would love it, Kyle, if you just lock those ankles in place. We get some nice big strong ski boots, lock those ankles in place. You'd have a blast. You'd be.
The thing is, there's really no way to
like
practice and see if it's going to be a trip wasted, right? We're talking about skiing, Woody, and my bitch made ankles. I think that snowboarding might be the answer. If I could wear a good pair of like socks and like, boots, just outdoorsy boots, and then get buckled into that thing, I don't think that would put all that. It would be pinching my goddamn ankle.
Yeah.
But I'm also fully aware I could not snowboard.
See, you can't go nearly as quick on a snowboard as skis, so you'd want to do skis.
I think everyone has a over the top ability. Like in their head, they can ski because they're like me. I skied once when I was 12, and now I can ski permanently. I'm a good skier. I can't. I know I can't, but in my head, I can.
If
I know I
skate,
can.
You can ski.
If you can ice skate, you can ski.
Yeah,
I can barely ice skate.
I got a fucking scar right there because I tried to ice skate and busted my lip like so bad that they like had to clear the ring because they needed to clear the blood. When I was a kid.
Nice.
So I would describe.
I know
that sounds awful.
You ruined everybody else's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like a good 10 minutes. They had to bring the little machine out. Great.
Yeah.
If I'm on the ice by myself, I won't fall down. That won't happen, and I can go anywhere I want to go. But if I had to navigate around people and occasionally slow down or make really any sort of sudden turns, it would go very poorly, and I would end up having to just drop and like land on my ass rather than run someone over. That's what would happen.
Yeah. Well, you would want to fall on your ass if you could.
Yeah. Last time I skated, or the first time I skated, really, I remember my ass being more bruised than in my life. Like my ass was just so bruised and sore that I could barely sit down.
It takes like one serious fall on ice to like really wake yourself up again and be like, oh yeah, like this is really unpleasant.
It's so fucking hard and cold.
It's so cold.
Seriously hard, right? It feels harder than concrete. It's hard to explain.
It somehow is. It's like you just bounce off of it.
And you're not allowed to you're not allowed to act like it did hurt. I gotta like pop back up because there's kids around and shit. my buddy's like a couple years older than me who's teaching me. He's Lithuanian, so he grew up playing fucking hockey with with some. So it's just
use your ankles, Kyle. And he's like,
he just speeds away. Oh, of course, he was like, good.
I'm holding in so many fucking jokes. The whole like, your ass really hurts. Sometimes it's like kind of you gotta bounce off it, and it's, dude, I
try to grin and bear it, and not let him know that it hurt.